Hey guys, Colton's hacking on Sonic Boom Fan 101 here.
And today's Ben test Google Pixel Fold and e-ink smartphone. Is changed to Wallaper Yo Gabba Gabba Party Holidays and Color Red. As we learned with Part 1 Ben Test Surface Pro 6. Screensaver. Let's try shutdown sound to start up and watch Pixel Fold and e-ink smartphone and fix the apps. Might be search Google and YouTube. Glitching and black shutdown bin does not shut sign of life and sound not showing shutdown. If anyone copy problem turned off.
The Pixel Fold. Google claims that this smartphone has the most durable hinge ever on a foldable. And at $1,800, I would hope they're right. A phone this expensive should never just, snap in half. Let's get started. Inside the box, we do get a USB-C cable and an adapter, but no charger. Foldables have been surprisingly durable up to this point. None of the 8 folding phones Samsung has ever made have failed my tests, so Google has some big shoes to fill with this first attempt. At first glance, I really like the Pixel Fold form factor, but like MKBHD mentioned in his video, I noticed that the Fold doesn't naturally want to fold flat. Google says on their website that their custom-engineered fluid friction hinge can securely support different postures, over a full 180 degrees. And that's true. With a little persuasion, it can even go slightly beyond the 180, and we'll go farther later. But naturally, right out of the box, it wants to sit right at around 178 or 179 degrees, not quite 180. And that's fine. Any 5'11" dude on Tinder knows rounding up is fair game. This might bother a few people, but I imagine that if you're buying a phone that costs as much as my first car, these little details are worth knowing. The hinge design looks pretty similar to what we saw on the dual-screen Windows folding phone, with what looks like the hinge pivot components located in both the upper and lower bezels of the phone. Google hasn't gone into much detail about how these work, so we'll just have to tear it down ourselves to find out. The folding motion does feel very good, but as far as most durable ever, that still remains to be seen. Let's see what the exterior and interior screens are made from. The Pixel Fold is rocking a very plump 8-inch display on the front. We normally see plastic screens start scratching at level 2 or 3, and sapphire screens scratching at an 8 or 9. And here, with Google's latest flagship, we start seeing scratches at a level 6, with deeper grooves at a level 7. It's got Gorilla Glass Victus, with no included screen protection. The interior screen is where things get a bit more interesting. This guy is a 7.9-inch display, with a normal folding phone crease down the middle. Even though Google says they are using UTG or ultra-thin glass, we can instantly tell that the surface is made from plastic, with scratches at a level 2 and deeper grooves at a level 3. Fingernails and basically anything harder than a cotton swab will leave a mark on this center screen. Nothing to complain about yet though. If a screen can flex, plastic is what we expect. The Pixel Fold does collapse flat with no visible gap. This could be a pro to help keep dirt out, or it could be a con since it also can trap dirt in. With no gap though, adding a screen protector to the inner display is out of the question. The outer screen, however, is still fair game. Link in the description. There are 5 cameras on the Pixel Fold, starting with the hole punch 9-megapixel camera on the front screen, which is protected by the glass. Making our way around the frame of the phone, we can check 2 sides simultaneously, both of which appear to be made from aluminum, including the volume rocker. Now, in the few minutes my phone has been alive, I've noticed that while trying to open it, the buttons are kind of positioned right where my thumbs naturally want to pry. And with both the power and volume button being so close together, and both about the same shape, it's hard to differentiate between the two. So in order to tell them apart easier, you can always add your own texture to the button with a jerry-rig knife. Instant improvement. The power button also doubles as a fingerprint scanner, so we'll have to see if that part still works here in a second. At the top of the phone, we have our loudspeaker grill, along with what looks like a SIM card tray, which strangely enough is made out of plastic. If I jam my SIM card removal tool into the hole real good, and I mean real good, we discover this is in fact not a SIM card tray, but actually the 5G antenna location and a microphone hole. Embarrassing. Moving on, down at the bottom we have our 30-watt USB-C charging port, another loudspeaker grill, and of course the real SIM card tray, which is made of metal. It does have a rubber ring, and interestingly enough, Google included their full mailing address, for which I only assume is here for people who wish to write Google a letter asking for the return of the SD card slot. Would be a real shame if their mailbox got filled up with snail mail. Making our way around to the spine of the phone, we find that this is where we get a material change. In place of soft aluminum, Google is now using a mirror-polished multi-alloy chunk of steel. No official word on if there are gears or bristles or anything else in here. Google is a software team and don't really talk about the hardware that much. But, you know, that's why I'm here. Hit that subscribe button, it's free, and we'll get to see the inside soon enough. The rear panel is also made from unscratching Gorilla Glass Victus. The raised camera bump is also polished metal, and is definitely going to get scratched up over time, no matter what you do. Inside the camera visor we have our single color dual LED flash, a 10 megapixel ultra wide camera on the left, 48 megapixel main camera in the center, and a 10 megapixel 5x telephoto zoom camera on the right. And of course we can't forget about the fifth camera, the little 8 megapixel guy mounted in the top bezel of the middle folding screen. The circular camera itself is protected with glass, but the entire metal bezel of that center screen is made from plastic. During the burn test, something weird happened. Touching our flame to the exterior 1080p 120Hz HDR display, we got about 16 seconds before the screen started to go white and not recover. It is an OLED. It's when we flip the Pixel Fold open to the center screen to start our burn test again on the plastic. After about 8 seconds, the 120Hz OLED decided it had enough and turned the whole phone off. And I was like, hey wait, come back, I'm not done yet. At first I thought it was maybe my finger that was resting up against the power button and that I was the one that turned it off. But the Pixel Fold didn't turn back on for about a minute and was all, hey, don't do that again, with the warning message on the screen when it finally did. In the 10 years we've been durability testing phones, we've never had one turn off due to heat before. Very interesting. Google says this new phone is IPX8 water resistant, meaning that it can withstand water immersion, but the X in the IP rating means it's not rated to withstand any amount of dust. Unfortunately for humans on this planet, dust is rather prevalent. As we fixatingly fill the Fold with a fistful of filthy fossils, my famous and functional fact-finding fling to see if a few fine fragments can force the fluid hinge to falter. As we focus on the fine farm fragments filtering through the flaps, forward, aft, frontward, and back, frankly, fear is Freudian. For the form factor of the Fold is on fleek, functionally foiling the fascinerous fight to filter into the facilities. The Fold firmly and flawlessly fights feculent foes. You feel me, fam? Long story short, dust doesn't seem to be an issue. That was fun. So far, so good. The Pixel Fold has a fingerprint scanner built right into the power button, exactly where fingerprint scanners should all be, and it works very well. Even pre-scratched with my razor, it still sets my fingerprint, and after being heavily scratched up again, far more than the average see in real life, the phone is still able to read and unlock very quickly, every single time. Thumbs up for that. The final frontier for our folding phone is the bin test. The vast majority of phones do survive this test. Even the vast majority of folding phones survive. Folding shut normally, even after everything we've done, the phone is still very functional. However, one simple fold in the wrong direction, and the Pixel Fold folds right on over backwards, annihilating the center screen along the crease. A small portion of the left side is still attempting to function, but there's no lockout or stoppage of that backward motion like we see on Samsung's Fold and Flip series. With the inner flexible screen pulled out of alignment, it will now not fold shut anymore either. Now, you might think that this would be embarrassing for Google, who broadcast to the world that the durable hinge ever. But in their defense, if you look very close, it's not the hinge that failed, it's actually the rest of the phone. The hinge itself is still in one piece, and it's the antenna line near the SIM card tray and another antenna line on the longer side of the phone that did the buckling, which then allowed the center screen to stretch and break open. So definitely nice work to the Google hinge design. It's just the rest of the phone that's not pulling its own weight. Google's first folding phone fails my durability test. The awkward part of this situation is that I told dbrand I would show off their new grip case for the Pixel Fold. However, their grip case isn't designed to fit the Fold's current shape. You get the gist. Not only does the grip case offer protection, it also has a kickstand so you can now fold in all directions. It's also customizable with any of dbrand's skins, like my teardown skin, or the all-new Robot City line, like Crime Square, favorite amusement park. With the current state of AI, a robot uprising is now less of a fantasy and more of a prophecy at this point. So if you'd like a coloring book with an exclusive glimpse of the robot's plans for world domination, dbrand has a whole line of Robot City collectibles, and you can grab a Robot City skin for your own device with the link in the description. We'll have to see how that world's most durable hinge looks and works from the inside during the teardown video. Since it's the only thing on this phone that is still in one piece, it should be interesting to see. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks a ton for watching.
This is what it looks like to watch a video on a full-fledged e-ink phone, the very first e-ink smartphone we have ever durability tested. Whoa, pretty wild experience. Definitely not for everyone, of course, but the application is intriguing. In front of us today we have two boxes. One box containing the Hisense A9 Pro, and another box. Uncannily packaged exactly like an iPhone is what we would get if the Tooth Fairy fell in love with a Cybertruck. A fully sealed, watertight stainless steel toothbrush from today's sponsor, Lifen. I'll be electroplating the sleek stainless steel body with real gold and giving it away in another video, but for now let's just appreciate the 60 degrees worth of gyrations and the 6,000 vibrations a minute. It comes in white ABS, aluminum, and of course stainless steel. With a magnetically charging base. I know Elon's about to buy 100 of these, and the replacement brush heads are actually priced surprisingly reasonable. You can grab one from Lifen yourself with the link down in the description, and be on the lookout for the gold-plated giveaway coming next week. Cleaning your grill with a gold-plated toothbrush has got to be wild.
It's cool that the Hisense A9 Pro comes with such simple packaging. A chill cardboard box with wax paper around the phone itself. And even though the phone is off, the screen appears to still be on, which is wild. The pixels only use energy when flipping from white to black, so no power at all to just stay in this paper-like state. We also get a flexible rubber case with a really long charging cable, and something we haven't seen in a long time, a free glass screen protector. The further we get into this phone, the more I like it. Turning the A9 on, the screen dips from black and refreshes, while the Android operating system boots into the startup menus we're all so familiar with. Still completely grayscale, of course, graphically minimalistic, but still has a front-facing and rear-facing camera. The crazy thing is, though, that while the camera is showing a black and white image on the phone screen, the pictures and videos the phone takes are actually color in real life. So if a picture taken on an A9 is sent through text or email, it will arrive on the other end in full color.
This is what a video clip looks like. Just saying hi to the camera. This is a crazy phone.
Very interesting considering how the footage is previewed on the phone itself. Another little tidbit is since the refresh rate of this display is 0 and only flipping pixels that need to be flipped, sometimes the pixels don't entirely flip back to white or black, and there's some ghosting left on the screen. Not a deal breaker, of course, just comes with the e-ink territory, and to fix this there's a dedicated refresh button on the side of the A9, which flashes the screen from black to white to reset the pixels. Quite a bit different than a normal smartphone, but I'm here for it. E-ink displays have come a long way. It might not be as flashy or addicting as a 120Hz AMOLED, but that might actually be a plus for people wanting a technology detox while not losing any of the Android functionality. There's a plastic matte screen protector on the surface, which I'll remove before starting the scratch test. Hisense is using an e-ink Carta 1200 display, which is the same type of technology that's on a Kindle Paperwhite. And lucky for us, it's covered with glass instead of plastic, just like a regular smartphone. It scratches at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7. I would turn the screen off to show the scratches a bit better, but even when the screen is off, it's actually on. So a white background is what we get. In the top bezel near the earpiece is a 5-megapixel front-facing color selfie camera. The frame of the A9 Pro does appear to be made from plastic, along with a built-in fingerprint scanner power button. There's a red accented volume rocker, which is metal, and up top we have a headphone jack. Still surrounded, of course, with the plastic frame rails, which then continue down the left side. The dedicated screen refresh button is metal, and we have a dual SIM card tray. Even though the SIM card tray does have a gray rubber ring around the opening, there is no official water or dust protection rating. So if you own this phone, I would still avoid liquids as much as possible. The bottom of the phone is still made from plastic, but does have a USB-C port and a lower loudspeaker opening. Making our way to the back panel, we find it also scratches and is made from a black textured plastic, with the Hisense A9 branding just painted right on top. Now, my whole job is social media, right? So I think it makes me overly qualified to say that more than 20 or 30 minutes a day of social media can wreck your entire brain, which means I'm all for an e-reader smartphone crossover. Hopefully this minimalism can minimize the death grip that doom scrolling has on dopamine. Speaking of books though, my favorite read at the moment is Llama Llama Red Pajama. I finish it at least twice a day. This drawing is supposed to be baby llama, but it's turned more into a nightmare llama, which I will not be showing my 2-year-old. The rear camera is 13 megapixels, and it also shoots in color even though the screen makes it appear otherwise. The camera is protected with glass. If I were to take this lighter to a regular book, it would obviously start on fire. But if that book is instead displayed in e-ink on a Hisense A9 Pro, it can actually survive the flame test pretty much indefinitely. Even after about 25 seconds under the heat from my lighter, the pixels do look a little less refreshed than usual, but a few taps of the side screen refresh button brings everything right back to the way it was before. Even though the fingerprint scanner is scratched, it is still able to set my fingerprint just fine. And adding even more scratches to the surface doesn't seem to diminish its fingerprint sensing abilities. Thumbs up for that. With the phone being plastic, I am slightly nervous about its structural integrity, but when bent from the front, we see some ginormous flexing, and even some audible cracking, but no visible damage to the screen or body, yet. Bending from the backside, it also has quite a bit of flex, but again, no catastrophic damage. It's only after the third bend, with more force than would ever be reasonably applied to a smartphone, that the screen starts to crack. Losing all functionality, with pixels perpetually and permanently parked at their prior points of photonic perception. Now, as a curious human being, I would enjoy delving a bit deeper to see how this e-ink technology works from the inside, but getting inside proved to be rather difficult. I assumed that the back panel would just pop off at the point where the plastic frame meets the glass, but it turns out the entry point is actually under the glued down portion of the back plastic panel where Llama Llama Red Pajama is waiting for his llama mama. Sorry about the flashlight, there's really nothing I can do about turning it off now. There are 16 Phillips head screws holding down the phone frame to the phone body, and with those gone I can unsnap the fingerprint scanner. I'll cover up the LED so we aren't blinded anymore, and then we can unplug the battery from the motherboard, just like a little Lego. The lower loudspeaker conveniently has a transparent display window for the balls inside. Thank you for that, Hisense. And the charging port can come out in previous pixel positions, even after completely disconnecting the battery, which just proves that e-ink displays don't require power to hold position. And there are 2 more black Phillips head screws holding down the main motherboard, and this motherboard is using pink thermal paste to transfer heat from the processor to the metal midframe of the phone. The headphone jack is soldered to the board, and the rather small front-facing 5-megapixel selfie camera does not have OIS. The modular 13-megapixel rear-facing camera is still mounted to the inside of the phone frame, but also does not appear to have any optical image stabilization. And unfortunately, it appears that Hisense is using permanent adhesive to secure the battery. Pretty big bummer, since the permanent battery makes recycling all that much more difficult. And since I don't feel like burning my house down today, I'm going to leave the battery in place for now. The most interesting thing about an e-ink phone is obviously going to be the e-ink display. Where a normal screen would definitely be off by now, the Hisense A9 is still turned on and readable. Even when the glass shards are brutally ripped from atop the pixels, the e-ink capsules are still unfazed. It's only when I stir the black and white pigments together that the screen finally concedes and is fully vanquished. Personally, I'm a fan of these futuristically minimal phones, and I hope we see a lot more of them. Would you rock an e-ink smartphone when Apple invents it? Let me know down in the comments. And thanks a ton for watching. I'll see you around.
Alright, it's safe now time to turn off. Thanks for watching for part 6 on Windows 7.
Stay tuned next time for part 22. And we're not gonna have any CD-ROMs in here. Like, we're gonna try doing it without the CD-ROMs, because if I end up putting in like a CD-ROM in this again, the computer is gonna crash. Like after an amount of time, like after a matter of time. So anyway, that will be it. Stay tuned next time for part 22, which in case we will not do any more CD-ROM stuff for the rest of the walkthrough. So yeah. And we will shorten the amount of parts for this walkthrough to 25. Just like what we did with, it's going to be like, it's the same amount of parts for, the 2019 edition of the Dell Dimension 4600 walkthrough. So yeah. Thank you viewers for watching. This is Colton Tackett on Sonic Boom Fan 101 signing off. Excuse me viewers. As I was saying, this is Colton Tackett on Sonic Boom Fan 101 signing off. And this computer better not crash again. See you guys next time. Peace out.